In this video, we will be reading the Lorax. The Secrets of the Little Lorax. At the far end of town, where the grickly grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing except old crows, in the secret of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax? And why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, the old onceler still lives here. Ask him, he knows. You won't see the onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum on the top of his store. He lurks in the lurkum, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffered muff. And on special dank midnights in August he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'd tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. At the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. Then he pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snove, his secret strange hole in his grovelous glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper man phone, for the secrets I tell you are for your ears alone. Down sleeps the whisper man phone to your ear, and the old onceler's whisper are not very clear, since they have to come down through a surgily hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green, and the pond was still wet, and the clouds were still clean, and the songs of the swarmy swans rang out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbaloot suits as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. But those truffula trees, all my life I'd been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. The oncelers. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop, and with great skillful skill, and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft, and I knitted a theed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a good zoomp. I looked. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. So if he has moss on him, where did he come from?
A tree.
He may have come from the tree. What did we learn yesterday about moss?
Like when they put like something in the plant. Fertilizer.
Yes, but what about the moss?
Came from the lake or the pond.
Yeah, it came from a what? Where did it come from?
The plant.
Where does moss grow on? You guys are getting it. The fertilizer.
Algae.
Algae. Yep. Moss is a type of algae. I want you guys to try to make this connection to get into that point. Right here. There's your beautiful one. So remember, the food is the fertilizer that the farmers use, and that's the water pollution. Moss is also going to have this fertilizer, and we drew a bunch of moss on the top of our pond because it was eating and growing and eating and growing this fertilizer. So moss grows on top of what? It can grow from trees, yeah, but what did we learn about yesterday? Moss grows on top of this what?
Water.
Which is what? Lake and
or river.
Good job. Good job. So remember, this book goes right along with that lesson. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I'm the Lorax. I speak from the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed, What's that thing you've made out of my truffula tuft? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed, a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt. It's a sock. It's a glove. It's a hat. But it has other uses. Yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains or covers, for bicycle seats. So what did he do with this? If he's using it for all of these things, what do you think, Emmy? Is he using it for one thing or a bunch of things?
A bunch of things.
What do you think, Emmy? A bunch of things? Right, so he used it as a sock, a shirt, a glove, a hat, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or even a bicycle seat. So he's using this thing for more than one thing. Remember how we talked about we can use certain ways for our waste? Justice did a really good job yesterday talking about that. We were talking about fertilizer, and we can use, all right, Oh my gosh.